of such a community-based company. As I mentioned already, it can be very efficient global marketing. That's mainly because the word of mouth, as you might know, is a very strong marketing tool. If people are telling other people, you should really go there, this is very interesting, you should buy the product and so on, then that's one of the strongest marketing tools, much stronger than a television ad, for example. And there's one thing that might be even stronger, especially in future, and that is not only people are fans, like telling about your company, telling about your product, they are even interactive, they are even engaged, they feel like being part of that. And they not only feel that way, they actually are part of the company to a certain extent. And that's where it gets very interesting, because then they are involving other people, and they might also be engaged, and they might also help the project to grow and grow. For that to happen, you need a basic idea, a big idea that people believe in. And if you have such an idea or a product that really attracts people, like this Hyperloop, at this example of the Hyperloop, it's like people are really fascinated by the idea of traveling with 1,200 kilometers per hour through the country. So they're really excited, and they're going to be part of the whole thing. And yeah, and that can be a very strong method of spreading the word and getting attention for your product, and even money. There are many people that donating then, just because they like the idea and want to improve the project. Then next topic is ideas and feedback. If you have such a project, if you have people that are involved like that, you will get a lot of ideas and critical feedback. So you will see what is wrong with your approach, or what you're doing good. So there will be a lot of feedback and feedback culture, and you need to be very open and transparent. That's from our experience at Dentacoin. You need to be really open and transparent with your information flow to attract other people, and then it happens that they really feel part of the whole idea, and then they tell you what to do better and what to improve and so on. And this is really a beneficial thing for all parties. You avoid having a wall between your customers and the company. Instead, this is more like one group maybe. And then adaptation to local needs and decentralization are two other parts two other benefits of a community-based company. Local needs mainly means that if you have a project, like in our case, we're trying to improve dentistry, and because we're using the blockchain, we're trying to improve dentistry worldwide. It's not bound to any borders or countries. And if you do that, it might be that dentistry in India has other needs than dentistry in Bulgaria or dentistry in somewhere else. So if you have a decentralized concept, you might allow sub-communities which work on their own behave somehow, are bound to some central point maybe, or some main idea, or main hierarchical committee maybe, but still they have their own rules, like own prices in the market, own products, slightly different tools for their needs. And they can even engage again, interact, getting their own ideas in the market, influencing each other, and this way you have not only one center point, but a bit more democratic approach of this company with different parts, and this is even less risk, for example legal risk, because no one can shut down one central spot, one central point in that company, as it somehow exists out of many different smaller entities. Yeah, that's mainly the general thing about community-based companies. They are we see this in the blockchain space. There are many projects that collect a lot of money actually without doing too much marketing. Instead they are building communities, forums, chat rooms and so on, and getting a lot of awareness there. And so it's a good marketing tools. They get a lot of feedback and ideas, as I said, and they are stable and secure somehow. Okay. So, as most of you might know, blockchains are decentralized by definition somehow. We have this notion of serverless structure where you're acting with peers, which means that you just connect different peers to each other, which all are on one level. There's no top to bottom order, but they are just acting on one level. And a blockchain system exists as long as at least one node, one peer exists. So you can try to shut down every single peer. If one peer remains, you can theoretically build up the whole network from this single peer. So it's really, it's a really stable concept. And so if you build up a community-based company, what you could start with is you introduce your own currency, and this now there the two businesses come together somehow: blockchain and the company. For example, if you use Ethereum blockchain, second largest blockchain out there at the moment by market cap. You can create your own tokens, right? You can create these ERC20 tokens, which are used for many reasons actually, and that introduces the idea of having content-based currencies. So how is that? Traditionally, we have country-based currencies, right? So the currencies that we have are somehow related to the borders we have, which is a bit artificial as any of these concepts. But it's just the way it is at the moment. But then now we introduce, and we see many of them actually, the idea of content-based currencies. Some people argue then that if you have thousands of currencies for every content, for every topic actually, then you might get completely diffused, and you have a wallet with 1,000 tokens and you don't know which one has which value and so on. But that's actually only a technical problem. It's actually easy to solve. If you have a wallet on your smartphone, for example, you could, for example, introduce an index currency which references all other currencies and shows you the value of each of these other currencies in this index currency. For example, an index currency could be USDT. Does anyone know USDT token? It's a currency that equals exactly the value of $1. So one USDT is $1, and they buy. You can sell this currency against dollar, and you can buy with dollar. So it's always exactly $1. And you could introduce that as an index currency within your wallet, and then you have a lot of different other currencies. One currency used at the dentist, another currency used in the supermarket, but you don't care about it because you're just paying with your wallet. And within your wallet, they are just added and referenced by the index currency. So you can still have different currencies for different parts of businesses, and it's easy. Yep.
The index is not fixed by different currencies, but the currency that you got.
You could. Is that a question or a statement?
Yeah, it's a question. It's not a bucket of certain currencies.
No, it's not a bucket. It's just it is an own currency that has a certain value, and the only thing that you do is, for example, if you have a Dentacoin, then you write in brackets how many index currencies that would be, for you to easily understand what is 2 Dentacoins, for example. So you don't need to remember the value of each of these currencies, but instead you have the translated value in that index currency.
It's not an index that you could buy and automatically get the currency in the index in your portfolio.
That's also possible. You can do an automatic exchange, so that always, if you, for example, get Dentacoins, it's translated, exchanged against this index currency. But in this case, you might get rid of the usage of the benefits of these different currencies, because there is actually a good reason to have these different currencies. And now we come back to the company idea somehow. If you have an own currency for like your dental belongings, then that might mean that you're part of a community somehow. You use that coin as a share, maybe. You hope that the whole segment, the whole industry segment, will rise in future, and therefore this share will rise. So you can hold it, but you can also, I'll tell about that later. We have tools where you can use only this currency, and for example, get into an insurance relationship with your dentist. So we have this idea of doing an insurance between you and your dentist, and you're paying in Dentacoin. And this way you connect people with each other with this currency. But we come to that point later. Having a local currency means to build a society, like a community. And this is worthy itself, or it's valuable itself in some cases. Okay, so this, I'm far away from claiming that all of these tokens we see nowadays will be valuable in future. In gas, I fear that there's a big bubble, and a lot of these currencies will disappear after a while. It might be not too long, actually. But some of them are quite interesting and worthy, and I believe that there is a benefit of having these content-based currencies in general, especially in the blockchain. Blockchain is about transparency. So if you're using a coin like this and you use it in your business, then you are in control of what you're doing there. You don't have a central entity. You don't have a bank that manages things like this, or you don't have a company that actually takes the risk and the responsibility. If we're talking, for example, about Facebook, this is actually should be, or it maybe is a community-based company, because many people are engaged and using it, but they don't have any power. There's only Mark Zuckerberg. He has all the power. He has all the data. He can decide what happens with your data, and he decides if this network exists or not. But over 1 billion people are using the network. There is, especially with Ethereum again, is that you can build such a network, such an app like Facebook, in a completely decentralized manner. Which means that if you share information with each other, it will mainly look like a regular Facebook, but there is no Mark Zuckerberg, there is no central entity. But you're sharing directly with each other. Then, of course, you need someone to build this network, a developer team, and to maintain it. But this is an external team. It's an external team that provides services to this decentralized company. And you can even introduce ideas like voting and decision making. So that means if most of the users in Facebook think there should be something included like a public stream, that you don't only see your personal friends' streams wall, but also more public thing like on Twitter maybe. And then they could vote, all of them, vote for a leader, vote for a decision like that, vote for some money flow. Yeah, that's very close to the idea of decentralized autonomous organizations, DAO. Who knows the concept of DAO? Anyone? Yeah, few. Okay, just to introduce that shortly, it is an existent concept of the idea to build a company that no one owns, or everyone owns. It's actually working. There was a big flaw like 1 year, 2 years ago, where it was somehow hacked. It was an Ethereum-based DAO. It was just an experiment, and it got a bit very noisy then. But the principal concept still exists, and I guess it will come around soon again. And the idea is that you are the shareholder, you are buying coins, and these coins give you a vote. So the number of coins are the number of votes that you have, and you can just make decisions in that company. Just move it. Thank you. You just make decisions in that company, and then you can vote for a leader, for example, and vote for certain decisions, or at least for persons who do that decisions. And so it's similar to an actual share or a shareholder, but it's direct. It's like you have direct power because it relies on a decentralized system. It relies on a smart contract, and the power is given ultimately to the people in this case. So this is if you're interested in this topic, it's called DAO. This is more a general thing now, but it can, in some or other way, it can also partly be used in a regular company. You know, you can also have a regular company but allow voting on certain decisions. And this is easy. Yep.
Sorry, how is spelled DAO?
DAO is DAO, Decentralized Autonomous Organization. DAO. And yes, that's that. So you can use that.
About the regular company.
Yes, thank you. So if you have a regular company, you can introduce that kind of voting also via blockchain. This is a good idea because it's reliable. People can trust that kind of voting. Usually, voting only happens on government level, because then you somehow trust that your government won't cheat with the voting. You probably don't like voting at a private company because you never know if they are cheating. You know, they could just change the results because they have the server, they make the rules, and they have the power. But if you're using like the Ethereum blockchain, for example, you can introduce a completely decentralized voting using some algorithms like ring signatures to even provide privacy there. So you could even be completely anonymous, only having exactly one vote, and still it's absolutely transparent. Everyone only votes one time, not more, and every vote counts. And in the end you got a result. It's just a website or a software that you use, maybe, connected to your wallet. In the end you get a result, and that's binding. That could even be connected to money flow. For example, there can be a virtual account with money, the company account. It's a wallet, right? But no one, not any human has access to this account. There's money there, all the company shares, but no one has access. Besides that voting contract, this voting software can access the shares. So if the majority of people are voting in certain rules...
Тук има два стола между свободни и тук също има. Така че, ако се ставаш някъде сам, защото в момента там няма може да се съде. Да, и тук има един също. Там не беля.
Here are the chairs, so here's another one for someone. Okay, so this voting contract can now take the money from that account, and only this voting contract. So this is a fully decentralized system. No one holds that account, as I said. No one holds that voting contract. It just lives in the blockchain, as your account lives in the blockchain, or the amount of money that you have, like Ether or Bitcoin.
What is happen? How can you make an account without anyone to hold it?
Yeah, that's a good question.
This is not happen in the banks. That's
true. That's a good question. It's about the topic smart contracts. Let me just go into that topic a bit. So it's the main difference between Ethereum blockchain and Bitcoin blockchain is that in Ethereum you not only list money amounts or transactions, but you can also store any other relevant data. So for example, voting results, right? But then you could even store software. And this software will work autonomously. This software will work decentralized. No one needs to control it.
Data bank.
Yes, exactly. Without a bank, but decentralized. Yeah. Yeah. These are these tools. And another big benefit also for our project is you don't need to care about it. It's not only giving away the power to cheating on votes, for example, but you also don't need to protect the votes, as an example, because it's just protected for free in the blockchain, and it's way securer than any other concept of security that you could invite. So it's actually a free, easy, transparent, very secure solution. This example now with voting, but also all these other examples actually, like money flow. Like if you pay your dentist with Dentacoin, this might have the advantage that the dentist, if you pay with credit card, does not need to pay 3% to Visa or MasterCard of each transaction. But it's way cheaper. Yeah? At the moment it depends on the blockchain if it's cheaper actually, depending on the amount. But in future, if we look at Ethereum in maybe 2 years, introducing proof of stake, transaction will be very cheap. Or if you look at IOTA, another interesting coin, a transaction is very cheap, and it's not relative to the amount that you transact. You can buy a coffee, it's very cheap, and for the same transaction fee, you can buy a company, or an island, or whatever you like to buy. So this is it doesn't matter. So you can do international transactions very cheap and fast, and many industries benefit from that, especially if it's about smaller amounts. Okay. Any other questions so far? Anyone? Okay. Now I talked already about Ethereum a bit. Does anyone know Ethereum in general? Yeah. Okay. Most people know it. Okay. So if you don't, I recommend to go on ethereum.org. I also recommend to hear the talks of Andreas Anatopoulos or something. I can't pronounce the name well, but he's a really famous speaker that explains very well on different currencies, and he also wrote a book, Mastering Ethereum and also Mastering Bitcoin, very interesting to read, to get a general idea of what is that about. So now I think that I can spare the basics and get into the details more. And Ethereum in opposite to Bitcoin has this idea of tokens. You can create your own sub-currency. So it uses the Ethereum blockchain to secure and provide the transactions, but you can set up your own currency there. It's like Ethereum is more like an operating system like Linux, Windows, Mac OS, and Dentacoin, for example, our currency is just like an app, a program, a software that runs on top of that blockchain. So you benefit from all the advantages of the Ethereum blockchain, but have your own currency with its own value. So the value that's important, the value of, for example, Dentacoin, is not connected at all to the value of Ethereum currency. It's just two completely separate currencies, but the one is on top of the technical base layer of the other. And it's very easy to do your own currency. You could come up with the idea, I want my name's currency, and then you set up a so-called smart contract. There is a standard smart contract for these currencies, for these tokens. It's called ERC20, that's a standard. So you could just copy and paste that, and it's like, if you know how to do it, it's like 5 to 10 minutes work, and then you have your own currency. You can define what's the total amount of your currencies. So should there be 1,000 Jeremias coins or 1 million? Yeah. You could also define how many decimals that would have. Like, is there something like 0.1 cherry coin, or is there only the smallest amount is 1? like we did it in Dentacoin. There, the smallest amount you can trade is 1, to keep it very simple. And so you can set up a few things like that, of course a name. You can also, a big advantage of Ethereum is that you can fully customize this token. You can add certain properties. For example, we added this property. We can, if you do a transaction, you can even pay the transaction in Dentacoins. To understand that, I need to explain that usually, if you do your own currency, you still need some ether from the base currency to pay each transaction. So if I send you 100 Dentacoin, I still would have to pay 0.001 ether to do that transaction.
So miners?
Sorry?
For the miners?
Yeah, exactly, for the miners, yeah. And this is because...
they don't accept Dentacoin.
Yeah, exactly, they don't accept the Dentacoin, and the whole system is made like this. And this is a bit annoying for a normal user, of course, because then this normal user that might have no idea how to use it needs 2 currencies. One actual currency and one to pay for the fees. But you can customize, you can change the code of your token to introduce something like, if someone transfers 100 Dentacoin to another person, 1 Dentacoin will be sold to Dentacoin Foundation, then ether will be returned to that account, and this ether will be used to pay the transaction. Okay, so you can set up more complicated structures like this, and this way you don't need to care about 2 different currencies and stuff.
But then the foundation is going to fund the transaction?
No, because it gains 1 Dentacoin, or the exact amount of Dentacoin, which is the value in ether.
Who price the value?
The value is actually given by the exchanges that we are traded on.
Yeah, but then immediately the foundation need to sell the Dentacoin for actual money or ether. So it can be...
Someone
so
can be real money.
To have the real value that pays for the ether.
So let me just get it step by step again, because I'm not sure if I got the question.
The foundation is only the exchanger, nothing else.
Exactly, yeah. And it's like the foundation has an account of ether, right?
Yeah.
There are like 1,000 ether, let's say. And each time I try to do a transaction to someone, within this transaction, I sell a few Dentacoins back to the foundation, and the foundation returns a few ether in the exact same value. So it's just an exchange. There's no value difference.
We're probably speaking about the very small amount of ether now.
It's very small, actually, yeah. It's very small, because the transaction fees are very small, as I said before. So it's only a small amount of money, but of course, if there are millions of transactions, it's a big amount of money. But then it's not given away, as I said, it's exchanged against Dentacoins. And Dentacoin has, as most coins, have a specific value. A specific value that is made by the market itself.
Yeah, but what happens if the market value of Dentacoin is super low and the market value of ether is super high?
That's a specific question. In this case, that's a good question. In this case, we need to adapt the ratio. So each transaction will be giving away more Dentacoins and getting the...
So, yeah, but there need to be like adjustments in the smart contract
Exactly.
for the real value. You just need to be done to a certain market for where the Dentacoin is.
It could introduce a data feed that gets a certain amount. At the moment we're not even doing that because the changes are not that big. So what we're doing at the moment is we're just adapting. We have like admin rights to adapt that exchange rate. But you could introduce a feed, it's actually possible, Oracle, and then you would be automatically always the correct exchange rate within the smart contract.
Because this could be an issue for when the number of transactions get a lot.
Exactly, yeah, it's also an issue if one of the prices are very different to the other one, for example. Yeah. Yep. Yep, done. Another thing I mentioned shortly was Casper, or proof of stake, which will be available, I guess, in 1 or 2 years. That's just a prediction, we don't know it. But Vitalik Buterin and the team of Ethereum are actually working on a new concept of mining somehow. And this is a separate topic. We can maybe later talk about it if someone is interested in it. But it mainly means in the result that transaction fees are getting very low. And it also means that transactions will be very fast. Not like 15 seconds as we have it now, but maybe 1 second, even less. So very fast transactions for very, very small fees, which also somehow solves our problem with exchanging Dentacoins and so on. And it also means that the whole system will be even more decentralized. Nowadays we have this problem, especially in Bitcoin, as you might know, that we have a decentralized system, but it's getting more and more centralized. Because the miners are getting less and less. There are like 10 major miners that do the whole mining. So 10 major companies that have somehow the power to decide which transactions are valid and which aren't. And this might be a problem in the future. We just had a hard fork now at Bitcoin Gold, as you might heard. It's another hard fork of Bitcoin. I personally don't think that will be successful, but the idea is to start over with the mining again, introduce another mining algorithm, so that these huge companies that we have, mainly situated in China, that they cannot use Bitcoin Gold for mining. They would have to throw away all their mining hardware and buy new mining hardware. So they really try to make a Bitcoin update, a hard fork, which allows a much more decentralized Bitcoin again. In my opinion, it will lead to the same problem later, because then other people will buy a lot of mining hardware, they will decentralize again, they will find solutions to mine that certain algorithm, equihash, and then we have the same problem again. So in my opinion, it's not a long-term solution, but there are tries to solve that problem, that mining gets more and more centralized. And there is also actually an economic reason for mining to be centralized, and the problem is that if you have a lot of mining computers, a lot of mining power, you are more efficient than someone who has small amounts of mining power. Even if people with small computers get together to a mining pool, all of them can't be efficient like one huge miner. Because one huge miner is very cost efficient with infrastructure. Maybe he has a location where at one spot where electricity is very cheap, for example. And if you have a lot of small miners, you can provide that. It's like a huge company can buy sources very cheap, whereas small companies, they need to pay more because they cannot buy that huge amounts. And it's similar with miners. A huge miner is always more efficient than many small miners. And that's different with proof of stake. Because at proof of stake, you don't need mining power. You don't need computers, you don't need energy. But instead, you invest your funds. For example, you have 1000 Ether. You put 1000 Ether in a special smart contract. And these 1000 Ether are producing more new Ether and securing the network. And you're getting some interest, some return for this 1000 Ether that you invest. And as you only invest money, $1 equals 1 Ether. It doesn't matter if you invest 1 billion Ether, or many people invest 10 Ether, which comes up to 1 billion Ether in the end. That's the same. There's no efficiency difference then. So you don't have an advantage to be one guy that has a lot of money there. Of course, your interest will be bigger than someone else who has a smaller amount, but if other people with smaller amounts come together to the same amount, then they will be equally powerful. So this is one of the advantages of proof of stake instead of proof of work, and it will hopefully lead to a even more decentralized space, which is very interesting for security reasons, of course. You don't need to rely on like 5 companies, 10 companies in China or something, but there are many stakeholders that put their money into this contract, then they can't touch it for a while, but this money will work and earn some interest, like usual banking interest, right? So that's the point. Yep.
So with this concept, the interest percent, we might say, is the same for everyone.
Yeah, it's the same for everyone. If you invest 1 Ether, it will return you a certain amount of money each year. And if you invest 2 Ether, this return will exactly be double.
Yes.
You see, and it don't depends on mining hardware, where it's much cheaper if you have a huge mining farm, for example. So this is fair somehow. Yep.
You said that Dentacoin is part of the blockchain of Ethereum.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So, if I want to do something in the network, I have to download not only Dentacoin information, I have to download all the blockchain of all Ethereum, of all other currencies like Dentacoin.
Yes.
So, if many people do this, it will become a huge.
That's true. It's actually true if you use something like Dentacoin and you want to be very sure that all the transactions are valid, then you need to download the whole blockchain, and I mean the Ethereum blockchain, right? Which will grow significantly. In reality, they introduced something which is called light clients. In this case, you don't download the blockchain, but only a small part of each block, the so-called header. It's like a table of content of the block, right? Only a small part, which proves that this block exists and it's valid. And these small files add up to something like, at the moment it's 170 megabyte compared to 170.
So you can reduce this big blockchain
Yes.
like this, but if you want to mine and you are not in a pool, because if you are in a pool, you don't need any blockchain.
As a miner, right?
As
Okay.
a miner in a pool, but if you want to mine on personal miner, not in a pool, maybe you still have to download everything because the hashes that you use to do it, you need to have them.
Absolutely. As a miner, you will have that problem. Actually, we have that problem right now. If you're a miner now, you need a lot of hard drive space. And then the hard drive needs to be very fast actually. It needs to be a solid state drive, because everything else is just too slow for solid mining.
Like these new memory drives that are...
You can use them, and I guess like the Satoshi Nakamoto's bet was that the capacity and the speed of our hard drives will increase with the increase of the network. Yeah, right? At the moment it's not completely true. The hard drives are not fast enough, they are quite expensive at the moment, and the network is growing very fast.
PCI's solid state drives on PCI slot are 5 times faster.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you use it,
but they are also expensive.
The price is the same price as the normal on the SATA, and the same price as
for
the
PCI.
And it's 5 times faster reading and writing. And the price is the same.
That's good. Yeah.
So don't buy SATA, buy
PCI. Okay, good hint.
Okay, can I ask, or I just
no, of course. No, not at all. I like the interaction. I don't.
So in the context of what I asked before, when I start mining in Bitcoin, for example, for a pool,
yes,
I receive just 15 texts, like 11 Merkle tree hashes. So these 15 text
lines,
I have to do some heavy job and return on TCP IP protocol, return the result.
Exactly.
So my question is, in Bitcoin, you have a nonce that you put it behind this data, in the middle of this data, you calculate the Merkle tree, you put this, then you hash, use SHA-256 algorithm to hash it once, then you have a small string, then you hash it double, again with SHA. And you do this for different nonces. nodes,
Yes,
you
exactly,
increment
yeah.
the nodes,
Yeah,
increment
you're
set.
guessing for the result.
Guessing,
Yeah.
and when you find the hash, if it's 20 zeros in the front, for example,
Yes.
if this is the task, you can send it and you receive always in the word, I think 25 bitcoins.
Sorry for interrupt you. This is very specific, and you're right with it. I'm just not sure if for the others this is now a bit deep. You know, maybe we go a bit into the detail after the talk.
But the question is
yeah.
it the same?
Yeah, until now it's the same. With proof of stake it changes completely. But until now with proof of work at Ethereum is mainly the same.
The same.
It's another
Well,
algorithm.
it's a different algorithm.
Yeah,
A little
exactly.
bit different. It's called add hash.
Yes.
It's different than the Bitcoin, but we should speak after the session maybe on this topic.
On this. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
So you said that produce Dentacoin for insurance.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go into Dentacoin a bit at this point.
How are you going to manage the volatility of the value?
The what?
Volatility. So
The volatility.
yeah.
Okay. The question of how can we gauge a stable value of our own coin is related to the question how we distribute our coin. If you would create your own currency, how would you give it to other people? Would you just give it as a present, like for example Byteball does it? It's another currency. They decided to just produce currency up to a certain amount and give it away for free. What they do is they check if you have Bitcoin, and if you have a certain amount of Bitcoin, they give you the same amount of Byteball. And it's actually working. They're giving away their coin, and the coin has still a value in the market because people believe in the idea of this coin. But this is only one way of distributing, of course. Other concepts, they are doing an ICO, for example. They're selling their coins against real fiat currencies like euro, dollar, and so on. So you can buy a coin with dollar, for example, and then it has an implicit value because it has been bought and not given away. Dentacoin, we're doing different. We also have an ICO. It's actually running until tomorrow. So if you'd like to invest, you should hurry because tomorrow is the last day of our ICO. But after the ICO, the distribution does not stop. We will distribute coins over and over again. We only sold a very small amount of the total amount during the ICO, actually. And what we do is, we give away our coins only for a certain value that we get in return. If you do some work, for example, you could get Dentacoin as a salary. This is related again to this community-based idea. If you're a community member and you write a blog article, for example, about Dentacoin, then you could get Dentacoins in return. Or if you're helping us with coding, which we had many cases actually, coding for the website, coding ideas and feedback, then you get Dentacoin in return. If you go to your dentist and you fill some review, write a review, for example, as we had it in the last talk here explained, then you will get Dentacoins as a reward. So by distributing Dentacoins slowly over time for the next, until 2043 mainly, but fixed, but secured by smart contracts. I will tell about that later. We have a constant flow of new money into the market, but in the end, when we reach 2043, it will stop. So it's not inflationary, like the euro or the dollar, for example, but it's deflationary as the Bitcoin or Ethereum itself, Ether itself. But we're distributing slowly, and we're actually creating value because we only give it away for a certain return, and that increases the value of a currency. If you have some work or some effort to get it, you will increase the overall value. So if you only look at it from an economic perspective, then this coin is getting more and more valuable because it's related to real life somehow and to real effort. And therefore, we also have our tools like the review platform, the insurance, the aftercare app. These are all tools, you will also find them on our website. but I'll go more in detail with the insurance today. Yeah.
If I'm a dentist and I
Yes.
want to bill my patients in Dentacoin,
Yes.
am I going to be able to charge them whatever I want in Dentacoin?
I'll cover that with the assurance. So let me talk about the assurance now. This is one of our tools, and it will answer the question, I think. One of our tools, it's not yet done. We have tools that are already actually developed and in the market, like our review platform. But then we have tools that are on our roadmap, like the insurance, or as we call it, it's actually an assurance. Because what that is, it's a contract between you as a patient and the dentist. It's a real-life contract, a legal contract between these two parties. What we like to do with that, or reach with that, is that we would like to align the interests of dentists and patients. So I need to talk a bit more in general before I go into the detail. But the basic problem that we have nowadays is that a patient has a very and get treated and treated all and again, because only this way the dentist can make money. This is not bad, this is just natural. If you were a dentist, you would like to act like this. So we need to find some way to align those interests. Make the dentist earn more money, make the patients be healthy, and don't need to go to the dentist every year, like for severe treatment or something, only for checkup. So the way we do that, we make a contract between the patient and dentists in the blockchain. And this contract is a bit like insurance. What happens is that you pay to the dentist a small monthly fee, small monthly premium, it's called in insurances, but you will pay that ever and ever again. Okay? In return, your dentist treats you basically for no further costs. So you get your treatments somehow for free, but not for free, but for this monthly payments. Just a second. This leads to the dentist's interest is now that you should stay healthy, because then he or she doesn't need to treat you very often, thus doesn't have many costs. On the other hand, the dentist gets a monthly solid income. He can really count with this income, and he can count on you as a patient. So he has a strong bonding, there's a strong relationship of trust between dentist and a patient, because they try at least to stay together, because there's this monthly fee. Of course, we have the situation that maybe the dentist dies, for example, or you go to another dentist, or you move as a patient, for example. Then the contract will be transferred to another dentist, and for emergencies there is a pool of money. So a small amount of that premium that you pay every month will go to a public pool. It's again such a smart contract account that no one can touch this, besides the community voting. So in the first years we decide ourselves which is an emergency case, but you can get amount of money out of that pool if your dentist dies, for example. So we cover this kind of risk. But in general, it means that we try to engage a level of trust between the dentist and patients, which is easy now because they mainly have the same interest with this kind of contract. And the clue is that you pay this premium in Dentacoin. So Dentacoin is the binding element. It connects the industry somehow. You pay to this public pool in Dentacoin, and you pay to your dentist in Dentacoin.
Did you know that Japanese health insurance work exactly like that?
No, actually I didn't.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You pay every month, and when you get sick, you don't pay for the time when you're sick, and your doctor is trying to make you healthier.
Yeah, but here in Bulgaria it's not like that.
No, it's not.
Exactly. They just fix you for a little bit just to go next month and
Exactly.
I'm talking about Japan.
And that's good. Yeah.
The second thing is like, is the price, the insurance fee for every doctor is going to be a variable. Like the they can adjust?
Yes, it lastly is a legal contract, so you could change the fee, for example.
So, sorry, what do you mean by legal contract? It's not a, it's actual legal contract in
Yes.
in real world.
Yeah, exactly. It's a real world legal contract, but it's stored in the blockchain, not even in the blockchain, but using something like IPFS or Swarm. Who knows that it's a decentralized space that protects that contract, but it's still a legal contract. So Dentacoin Foundation proposes a sheet, like a example of that contract for every country, and then you as a dentist or as a patient could go with that contract or could mention the website of Dentacoin and be a part of it.
Okay, so I have two questions.
It's like buying a car, maybe. It's like a
yeah,
contract,
I have two questions about it because here again we have different aspect of value of the coins. Because first is, can I switch my dentist? And if I switch it, do I retain my previous, like, no, if I stop paying for this contract and sign a new contract again, what happens?
You transfer the amount of money to the new dentist, like the premium, after you pay every month. And you also, like, your dentist is still responsible to pay for a major treatment. If he's not to pay for a major treatment, but to do actually the major treatment. So before you change to a new dentist, by contract you have the right to get that treatment fixed. If you're not sure in a special case that your dentist might cheat you to avoid the treatment, you can very easily get a checkup at every dentist for free that proves that there should be a major treatment. If you don't get that major treatment because your dentist dies, for example, and so you can't even get it by law, in this case you're using the pool, this emergency pool, which is something like a reinsurance, if you say it like this. Right? It insures, it protects the insurance, so it's like a reinsurance.
So is the legal contract got time frame, or it's like...
No, the legal contract is a lifelong contract, man.
Yeah.
As at least, if not both parties quit it. Right?
But I, from my side, can quit it and start a new contract with other.
Exactly. But in this case, of course, you somehow, firstly, you need to transfer it to the new dentist, right? Because otherwise you lose the premium that you paid already.
Okay, and the second question is, so, if I'm a dentist, I can decide what my premium for the contract is going to be?
Exactly, it's your earning, yeah.
So, different, let's say, dentists in Bulgaria can have different premium?
You could, but in reality, I guess, there will be some kind of competition at least.
Yeah, exactly, because
yeah.
I can say, I'm going to treat my patient for, let's say, 10 Dentacoins per month.
Yes.
And my competitors may treat them for 25.
Exactly, so you get more people, right?
Yeah.
That's just economics.
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
So what happens?
Next question.
If no, it's right.
Okay.
So what happens when if the value of the coins somehow dropped? Can we rearrange the contracts?
It's just a contract like a rent for a flat, for example.
Yeah.
You can always adjust it. It's a contract between you and the dentist. That means it's not it's not fixed forever or something.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
And I would like to apologize first because I'm far away from all this, but came here out of curiosity.
Okay, cool.
Why would a normal patient, 55-year-old, with no knowledge of your parallel world, go to a dentist?
Yes.
Again, 55-year-old dentist, with completely no knowledge of your parallel world, and enter into a normal contract for providing normal dental services, and try to get into all these troubles of getting of your money some sort of, and enforcing this contract, which is surely unenforceable in court. For what reason would a real person get into your world and do this contract when these kind of contracts already exist in the normal day-to-day life?
For what reason would some 50 or 60-year-old person join the internet? If this is very strange space, they never heard about it, it's somehow weird, you need to pay for it, why should you join?
The 55-year-old person gets on the internet only to satisfy his or her normal needs,
so
to watch movies, to do whatever.
Exactly.
And if someone gets into this contract, it will be to get his or her teeth treated, right? It wouldn't be to enjoy your tokens, it wouldn't be to get his or her life more difficult, because both sides on this, the patient will get into more difficult situations, and the dentist as well, because the dentist, will have to transfer his money into normal income in order to tax it, in order to file its tax return and all that. I see no reason for this parallel world to exist.
Yeah, because I guess you don't know the parallel system at the moment. From my point of view, is like if you're the dentist, you see the benefits from a marketing perspective and then from an economic perspective to join that kind of community.
What are these benefits?
The benefits are that if you do a contract like this, regardless if you use Dentacoin or not, but if you join a contract like this in general, which is provided by a project like ours, then you will engage a very close relationship between you and your patients.
Excellent idea. I understood the idea behind the close relationship.
Let me just continue
this contract in the normal world.
Could I please continue, because there's another point to it. So if this is the one part. The other part is that you might attract over time new patients, because they are also part of that ecosystem. This ecosystem not only contains the assurance tool, but other tools that I didn't mention now, because mainly we mentioned it last time and it's not the topic today, but there are other tools that are also dentistry related. For example, an app that cares about your dental hygiene, and a review platform where you can find a very good dentist and get paid for writing honest reviews. And all of these platforms are somehow connected and lead to a cheaper price for you as a patient than you would have if you just don't join the system. And it also leads to more patients and to a solid income as a dentist than you would not join the system. Which means, in the end, it's not an idealistic thing, but a very easy economic calculation. If I as a patient need to pay less, then I will try to learn to use an app like this, which by the way is not that complex.
I don't get it. How do you get to pay less if you join this group?
This is related to all of these tools. For this you need to know that in dentistry, over 90% of all the money that is spent for treatments is only spent because people, they don't treat their teeth correctly. So for this point we introduced that aftercare, which is an app mainly that rewards you if you care about your teeth better. It's a bit like Freeletics, if you know that. It's an app that tracks your progress. You can say, okay, I did this, I did that, and after a certain time you get a reward. And this is connected to our assurance tool again, so the dentist can see that you really care about your tooth.
Okay, excellent idea. Both ideas are very, very interesting. My question is, why would I want to pay for these two services in some sort of a Wonder World tokens?
You don't pay, you earn. That's the difference.
Who? The patient earns?
But both actually earn.
How does the patient earn this?
As I said, by doing this program, like this aftercare app, using that aftercare, by using the review platform, writing reviews, by any kind of effort that he does, he can earn that Dentacoins. Which
Maybe his question: how physical money does he earn? Physical money or just health or something? Because you're talking about health. Which is earning for sure.
He earns.
It's not so clear how to see this benefit. You will not earn so much money. You will not earn so much.
I think because this place is something where there is a competition between the dentists. When some person come in this place, this person see the difference of the price, the difference of the quality in one place, and it is something that is valuable for the person.
Yes.
This means that I can choose the quality or the price. It will be easy for me, because when I come to different dentists, I need to check everyone to see what's happened there, how much is the price of the service, and it is time. It is something that is very expensive now. Time is
one aspect. It's one aspect. I just try to sum it up again. At the traditional system, dentistry is very expensive because dentists have a very different interest than patients have. They want to earn as much money as they can, of course, like everyone, so they do as many treatments as they can, which is just the opposite of what the patient wants and what actually would be rational. Idealistically spoken, actually a doctor should have the interest to keep you healthy, not to heal your diseases, right? It actually, if you think about it, doctor should be there to keep you healthy. This is very idealistic, of course, but we introduce this kind of insurance now as one tool to align that interests. You as a dentist try to keep your patient healthy now, because you don't get more money if you treat more often, as it would be now. On the other hand, you get a patient that pays every month, and so you get actually a certain amount of relatively stable income every month. And more important, you don't need to care about the marketing. Most dentists are not, like, from our statistics and experience from the dental clinic we're engaged with, most dentists are not economically experts. Why should they be, right? They studied medicine, so they care about medicine. And they don't know very good how to find new customers, how to attract new customers, how to keep them over a long period of time. Such a system, such a contract that we introduce, binds patients and dentists, and thus introduces a long-term relationship, and through the community and through using this Dentacoin as a currency, you connect all their patients and all their dentists with each other. Because they're all using the same currency, they're all using the same tools, like the review platform, where you can review your dentist, you can see where is the next dentist that accepts this currency, where you can get a new contract for the assurance, for example. And thus we are creating a community of people that want to use this kind of system. Saving costs, making more profit, and getting better health condition.
What if I get next to you and say, hey, I'll do the same, but with the real money? I won't use the dental coins.
You could,
I'll do
but
the same. Exactly the same scenario.
Exactly
the same.
You could do that. One reason that I mentioned already is that you could form a community. This is firstly abstract. Another easy solution or answer for this is real traditional money has many disadvantages compared to the new money, right? This is a more general discussion. This is about why should we need cryptocurrencies instead of fiat currencies.
Actually, something that is fundamental for this, like in Dentacoin, we can have proof of work, like checking my teeth and so on, and I can be awarded for this to check my
Yes.
Yeah. And then
You can do the same in the real.
No, you can't, because you can. My proof of work is USA dollars or Bulgarian levs. This is my proof of work. I get some value, and for the dentist, it doesn't matter what I do for this proof of work. The proof of work in their case in the proof work in their case could be
Maybe
a couple of
Let me
sources.
also did,
Let me
just-
explain that. Sorry, I would like to add on that point.
So in proof of work in their case, you can have a couple of sources. One is to use the tools that you build it, your reviews, check and so on.
but I agree with this. Why the hell someone will put so much effort to do all the proof of work?
Because
Maybe we need a simpler answer.
because it's going to be with less the value for him for the US dollar or to check his teeth is going to be the same for the dentist, but for him, for the patient, it's going to be less, and this is going to be cheaper for the patient.
Yeah,
Let's
but
get the answer
we're missing the point. Again, what is Uber? What is other services? They create a heap over some industry, you know. And again, here there will be 5 dentists that will join this network, and one will go behind, will not join. And people will see something more in these 5 dentists that are already part of this network, and soon or later, if this is going to be popular, everyone will go one by one registered in this network because it's popular, because it gets more clients, because
maybe
this
talk
is
a bit
simpler answer, not
about
technical.
No,
let
this
me-
is a
sorry,
different
I would like to answer
Yeah,
all the
different
topics
topics.
for a second. It's
Get
a
the
very
answer.
interesting discussion at the moment. I just want to talk about a bit real life now and our experiences at Dentacoin. At the moment we have 2 partner clinics, one in Bulgaria, actually here in Varna, and another one in London, using our system. We limited that because of our now running ICO. We have actually several other dentists all over the globe that are like really hot to use it. They really want to start with it because we are advertising on our websites and throughout our channels the economic advantages of such a system. Of course you need to download the app, okay, but this is not, it's doable, yeah, it's not that complicated like 2 or 3 years ago. And of course you need to get somehow into it, and as a dentist, of course you need to introduce that system to your patients. So for example, if someone comes to the dentist needs to explain, here you could join our assurance, for example, or here you could write a review if you feel you want to write a review about the treatment. So before the actual treatment starts, you get an invitation link by email. In the email you click on the link, go to a website and write a review. This is mainly like other review platforms work.
Right.
The difference is that you get Dentacoins. You could not get dollar or euro because Dentacoins are created somehow artificially. They are in a big pot and they are distributed for your work of writing a review.
Okay.
Dollars we would have to buy to spread them again. Right? Dentacoins we created and we distributed.
Isn't it the same knowledge as a point? Okay, I buy something and I'm getting a point for that.
It's not wrong.
So it's the same knowledge here. I will do something for you, I will write a review,
Yes.
and you'll give me a discount or points. That I get these points and I go to the dentist and I exchange them for work.
This point is a good point. The thing is that a currency like Dentacoin has several properties. It has the property of being such a point.
Okay.
It has the property of being a share. As dentist and as patient, if you have Dentacoins, from now on you are shareholder of the complete society or industry of Dentacoin users, of all dentists and patients, because if this thing is successful, the value will rise. So if you hold that coin, you will have a rise in value. You don't have that rise in value if you use dollar either. Then it's a standard currency. It's just, you can use it as a currency, but it's way cheaper, it's way faster, it's way more secure than any currency you could use nowadays. This is not our success, it's just the blockchain topic in general, right? Like Bitcoin. And yeah, I think that's the main properties. Yep.
Actually, it's not a good point to say that the value is going to rise with Dentacoin, because that means that every time the value of Dentacoin rises a lot, they are going to be need a recalculation for the contracts.
Yeah, of course, but these are contracts and you can adapt them. You could even do them flexible. You can write in the legal contract that the equivalent of $1 or like let's say $20 a month in Dentacoin. You don't need to write down a legal contract 540
and you return to my question, why would I want to get into a contract where I need you to calculate my dollars in a different currency?
You don't need to calculate at all, you just use a tool. Wait until you can use the tool. It will be for free and it will be very easy actually. You don't need to calculate anything. It's like if you know how to buy a car, you will know how to use that contract and the relationship. You do that once, you don't need to care about it. Your dentist will actually do it for you. You just sign it, that's it. It's not a complicated thing. I think it sounds quite complicated, but that's mainly because you've never heard about it. You know, it's just a new concept, and as many new concepts, it's difficult to understand in the first place. But in general, if you can imagine, you go to a dentist. The dentist tells you, "I'm part of the Dentacoin community. Just a second. I would like to understand. I would like to promote to you and show you this kind of assurance. It might be interesting for you because for a low monthly fee, you will be treated for severe health problems for all time. By the way, that's only for severe health problems. Everything what your existent legal insurance pays, the Dentacoin doesn't have to care about that. So we are talking about serious health problems where you would pay a huge amount of money, right? But actually, that was not the topic of the talk. Otherwise, I would have started from the beginning with all these explanations about Dentacoin. Actually, we are talking about something else today, but still, I'm happy to answer the questions.
Okay, I just something came to my mind to explain it better. Like you have a food pizza shop. You make pizza or deliver pizza. Like you're a dentist, you deliver your services. But you have your own website, your own services. But again, there is Amam Bege, which you can go on and order pizza there. They get something for their services. They create a community. They create a point system which rewards you by giving you on each order you get points, and you can convert these points for real food at some point or discount. Again, why should these pizza makers go and register in Amam BG? And that's a similarity that I can see that came into my mind. You need to go there, register as a pizza shop or as a service. This is overhead for both parties, but again, it's a successful model because it creates a community, it creates a value for the both sides, connects both sides better, rewards by doing the same things, like getting the pizza from the pizza owner, and but you have value by getting rewarded, getting points, getting something.
True. This is
something similar.
It's true. It's one of the aspects, as I said, right? This is one valid aspect of these points. To be honest, the major aspect for people at the moment, so at the very beginning of our project, is the aspect of Dentacoin being a share, an investment, right? There's this theory, which is actually not only a theory, you can see that in practice every day, that as more people join such a coin, join such a community, as higher the value of that coin will rise. It's called network effect, and it says with every person that comes to and uses this coin, or any other coin like Bitcoin, Ether, it will be a quadratic increase of the value of this coin in general. This is called network effect, and it's mainly because as more and more people using the coin, more trust is created, and thus the emotional value, which by the way is the only value that a currency can have in the end, will rise. Yeah, this is somehow due to the nature of every good and currency. Even if you're talking about something like gold, gold really feels like a very substantial value that has been there for ages, right? It has always been there. And in the end, its value is an emotional value. It's partly, for a small amount, used in industry, but that's not where this huge value of $1,200 at the moment comes from. The value comes from the idea that people believe it will be worthy tomorrow. And if I need to buy food tomorrow, I can use my gold somehow, right? And that's beside of a few important properties that gold has. It's the actual only reason why gold is worthy. It still needs these properties. If gold wouldn't be rare, it would not have any value. If there would be gold all over the world, it wouldn't have any value. If it wouldn't be nice, somehow you'd like it, it wouldn't be valuable. For example, Ebola virus is also rare, no one wants to have it, right? You don't like it. But gold is somehow nice, it's a cultural thing, you like it, and it's rare, so you keep it. Gold also has disadvantages, so it's not used as a currency. For example, it's heavy, right? You can transfer it internationally very easily, in opposite to our fiat currencies or now our cryptocurrencies that we've introduced, which make it even easier to transfer internationally for no fee, almost no fee, and in no time. There's this nice example. If you'd like to send gold to someone, to another country, it would be expensive, right? You need to carry it by ship, so you pay a huge amount of the gold you send only because you need to carry it. But even if you transfer dollar, there's this example, a guy working in USA, he's from Mexico, he gets dollar every month, he wants to send them back to Mexico. Like he sends back $100 each month to Mexico. But Western Union takes 9 to 10% in average. That means only $90 arrive in Mexico each month. Think about it. It's actually ridiculous because this dollar are sent via the internet, almost like an email. Why does Western Union take 9% for it? It takes 3 to 5 days to transfer that dollars via the internet to Mexico. Did you ever send an email that took 5 days to transfer? I don't think so. It's ridiculous. It's mainly because they can make money with it, and it's mainly because they need to protect their own system. If you, for example, use your credit card to pay online, you transmit your credit card secret through the internet. That means that the whole way through the internet needs to protect your credit card secret. At Dentacoin, at Bitcoin, at Ether, it works completely different. You never transmit any signal. You actually keep your secret for you. You keep your secret for you. You can transfer it anyway. To make a Bitcoin transaction, you could use radio. You could use smoke signals. Yeah, that's funny, but it's true. You don't need to protect the transaction at all. And it's still way more secure than any traditional way of sending money, which makes it very cheap and very fast, like an email. And yeah, that's one of these advantages of these new currencies. There was another question, I think. Yeah.
Just to say that that's not completely true, because in traditional system you can have reverse transactions, and in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency you can't.
That's a good point.
The escrow in traditional banking is included in.
But it doesn't say that it's not true what I said, I think, because the points that I said.
Yeah, I mean it's a.
There's something additional, right? Yeah. And you're right.
They are different systems. I mean, this is.
Yes. Just for the others, if you do a transaction in a traditional way, you have the bank, right, or the banking system that takes care of the transaction, and this power, this central power, also allows you to refund your transaction.
It is not a central power. So banking system is a decentralized system. It's a huge mistake to say it's centralized.
Yeah, it's distributed. It's still in the hand of single entities, not one, but a few. The main difference, okay, this is very technical, but in the end it's very simple actually. If you use a cryptocurrency like these modern currencies, they always say you are the bank. It's actually easier to imagine it's just like cash. If you have it in your pocket, you're the one who's responsible for it. If you give away the cash, you gave it away, right? You can't. There's no one who will refund it to you. If I give you my cash, and you go away, my cash is gone. I was responsible, or if someone steals my cash from my pocket, it's gone. There will be no bank telling me, oh, no problem, I just refund it to you. So all this nice decentralization has also the disadvantage that now again, you are responsible for your money. Right? You not only have the control over your money again, like we had it 100 years ago with cash, but you're also responsible again for your own property. Right? This is a disadvantage. In my opinion, it makes us a more independent and adult society in the end, but it's still a disadvantage. If you send your Dentacoin or your Ether to the wrong person, you need to ask that person to refund it, otherwise it's lost. If that person is not honest, you won't get your money back. It's just like giving cash to a trick, to a betrayer or something, right? You don't have any chance to get it back. That's a disadvantage of this system. But if you want to take the responsibility, you can rely on worldwide, very cheap, very safe transactions, and you are the owner of your own money again. What do I mean with owner of your own money? Look at Greece. They had the situation not long ago where they weren't allowed to get their own money until a certain amount from their own bank accounts. They went to the bank and the bank told them, you can't have your money. You worked for it, you owned it, it's your money, but we won't give you the money. Yeah, if you think about it, it's crazy, right? Because it's not the property of the bank, it's your property, it's your money, it's the value. It's not only money, a very abstract thing, it's your work time, right? And you're not the owner.
But again, this actually protected from dumping the value of the currency.
Exactly, but this is only necessary in a traditional banking system like we have it at the moment.
Yeah, but the value of some coins could dump their value if somebody just tried to withdraw or transfer them to actual currency.
No. Not at the crypto values, because you don't have the notion of credit card, credit system there.
So
you can't create a bubble.
Do you know that right now there is Bitcoin account that is frozen in Bulgarian government? Mm-hmm. This is one of the largest wallets in the world. Mm-hmm. Right now, if they try to sell all the bitcoins from the wallet,
yes,
the value of the bitcoin, yes, the market price is going to drop hugely. And
yes,
even
okay,
maybe they are not going to be able to sell the bitcoins. So this is exactly the same case as if the banking, traditional banking, allow the Greece people to don't know their cash.
I don't agree, because the Bitcoin value might drop relative to the euro or dollar value, right?
Yeah.
But you still are able to keep your own Bitcoins, whatever value they have.
Yes, yes.
And that's a big difference.
Yeah, but in Germany, yes, after the World War II, you can keep your Deutschmark, but the value, yes, for the transaction is going to...
Yeah, I did not say that the value of that currency is somehow fixed. That's not true.
Yeah.
I just have another question. You mentioned that the money was blocked by the government. How did that work? It's artificial money, so how can the government block the money?
There's a wallet.
They don't block it. That's the point I mean. It's not actually the topic. They don't block anything. They just devalue the money by selling a lot of it.
No, but you was talking about the big currency.
Every person can have a wallet.
Where yes, Bulgaria.
They earned it. They have it.
This
no?
is
they have this
story. I will explain it.
Alright.
But this is just a wallet they have. It's like an account they have.
It's like a wallet in the pocket, and you have a lot of...
That's fine, okay. Let's continue.
No, it's almost over actually. That's actually the Q&A part, I guess.
Okay, because I suggest to finish the presentation,
okay,
and then to continue with the questions, because it's a little bit late, and maybe some of the guys...
First, let me say at the end, thank you very much for having me, for listening to me. It was a very interesting discussion actually, many questions. I would like to join again.
Thank you also for this presentation. I believe the guys here will be more interested in what to do in Dentacoin, what were the process actually from the idea to the realization, and maybe the ICO also will be interesting.
Okay, let's talk a bit about the idea of Dentacoin again. And yeah, where should I start? And maybe in July. In July we had our pre-sale, which was the first token sale that we arranged. So we introduced this coin, this new currency, like many others did, to a wider community these days via different channels. Our website, a Slack channel, which is quite active at the moment for them, those who know Slack, and the many other marketing channels. We had quite an experience in marketing before in our team, and we connected very early to dentist industry, right? We connected to the Denta Prime clinic here in Varna, and working together with them actually on a daily basis. And then we connected to other dentistries again, and started this project by selling the first Dentacoins to get money for investing in further tools. At the same time, we started to introduce the first tool, which is the review platform. And the second tool is also there, it's not beta yet, which is the aftercare on our roadmap. The review platform is live now for a month, and you can check it if you like. It's reviews.dentacoin.com, and it allows you to write reviews about your dentist, and it allows you to find a dentist which has a good high ranking, right, next to your place. So we have many registrations now. Do you know the exact amount at the moment, or roughly?
Over 4,000.
It's like 4,000 registrations at the moment, after a month, writing reviews or adding new dentists. One special thing about that tool is that we introduced the notion of a so-called trusted review. The idea is that at usual review platforms which we have nowadays, you actually never know if this review is an honest review, or if just any guy wrote any review about any dentist. So additional to the standard review we have this review where you go to your dentist, as I mentioned before, and before the treatment starts you get an invite link, because this dentist is part of the Dentacoin community. You get an invite link per email, and after the treatment is done, you write a review. And then it's marked as a trusted review, because it's proven that you have been at this dentist, otherwise you wouldn't have get the email and you wouldn't be able to write the review. This review is rewarded much higher. You get 25,000 Dentacoins at the moment to write such a review. And these Dentacoins are spent by the main Dentacoin pool, which is locked in a smart contract, right? So this is some kind of these points somehow in the beginning. And then, yeah.
Can you explain the legal part of this ICO? How the money that you collect come in the company, in the capital of the company? How you spend this money like a company, not only in the space?
Okay. Yeah. You mean what we do with the money? Is that the question?
No, there is a legal problem in Bulgaria.
Yes.
This money, because they come from some anonymous donation, or I don't know how you make it.
Yes.
How come this money from the ICO in the company? Because
I see. Okay. We have two major approaches to get the real money, like in this case it's actually Ether or Bitcoin, and distribute in the same way Dentacoin. And how we do it is, on the one hand, we made a special smart contract which has an address. As soon as you send and agree and send money, like Bitcoin, Ether, to this address, you automatically will get Dentacoin. So these Ether are stored in our company's account. In return, we distribute the Dentacoins to you. Okay. That's one thing. Second, we use 5 major exchanges that we are listed on at the moment, and make them do our ICO for us. Which means that they offer Dentacoin for a fixed price that we fixed in advance, a cheap price, which is only valid in this month now, during the ICO. And so you can go as a customer, you can go to that exchange, just register, easy, right? And buy Dentacoins for this fixed price. If Bitcoin, Ether, USDT.
But what happens with the Ether that you collect?
With the Ether, okay, in the end, after the ICO is finished, we have a certain amount of Ether, Bitcoin, and so on. We convert everything, like even Indian rupee, we could convert everything to Ether. Now we have a major Ether account. And this Ether are now mainly used for two things. One, product development, means introducing new tools.
You pay directly with Ether, not with some currency.
Yeah, good question. We pay with Ether, but we even prefer to pay with Dentacoin. So what we do at the moment, we have two major external developer teams that are actually paid in Dentacoin. This has big advantages for us because we are spreading the currency that we just created. Still, it has a real life value, so that then the developer team can earn it and change it for euro, dollar, and so on. Level.
But when we need to
on the other hand,
pay
sorry,
for
just a
something
second. Sorry, to finish that. On the other hand, it has the advantage that it also distributes our Dentacoins, right? Because for us, the major economic interest is to distribute as many Dentacoins as we can. So if we can distribute it by paying salaries, that's perfect.
But this is not the core of the question.
Okay.
I want to know when you need to pay for something different.
Rent an office or something.
Or
yes, then we convert it.
Yes, but this converted money, how they come in the company? They are
legally.
Legally, I will sign it in
if we have Ether, we can convert it to any fiat currency. That's fine.
This is not.
The question is
it's not company account.
It is. It is. It is. And our Ether accounts are actually listed in our bookings, in our accountants. No.
Where is your company registered?
In the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Yes. Because?
It's one of
no,
the
answers all the questions.
Yeah, it does, because there are only a few countries which are open-minded towards these new technologies. So what we need to do is we need to find a country where they regulate these currencies. Because in most countries, they just don't care. They don't know, right? They don't. Either they forbid it because they claim that such a cryptocurrency is the same like shares, for example, like exchange shares, or it's the same like gold. But then there are countries like Switzerland, Netherlands, and many others that are really made law already for that kind of currencies.
Well, the best thing is not to have a law, actually. It's not no.
I'm not
like
sure.
Like Estonia.
Yeah, but this is like a bit an illegal problem then. It's actually good to have regulation in this space.
There is a new law in the United States about this ICOs, and they say that any ICO that not sell shares, it's not legal.
Yeah, it's true. There are countries where it's forbidden. There's like China, it's completely forbidden now. And then there are countries where it's perfectly legal.
How many are the shareholders of your company?
Do you mean customer shareholder or internal shareholders? Like
shareholders who hold the shares, who are registered in the register.
It's a foundation.
It's a foundation.
Yes, it's Dentacoin Foundation. So
where is the foundation registered?
As I said, in Maastricht, Netherlands. You can check that on the legal.
Okay, so you have a foundation which is registered under the law of the Netherlands.
Exactly.
And how is this registered company related to the community-based companies that you had described at the beginning?
There are no community-based companies. There's just a community, but no legal entities.
Okay, but your topic at the beginning was community-based companies, right?
Yeah, but with community-based companies, I don't mean legal entity. You know, that's a good thing, a good question actually, in my opinion, because you have this central committee foundation company, which is a legal company, right? And then you introduce a community to that. That means that this one company, based in the Netherlands in our case, gives away responsibility, gets feedback, gets money, gets new employees externally. it doesn't mean that the legal structure changes at all. That's not part of the idea.
Okay, but it does not also mean that the people who participate get any sort of shares in these original.
Oh, no, yeah, that's an important thing now. The shares are not traditional company shares. No one holds them, actually. Not external people. The shares are Dentacoin. And with the value of that company, naturally the value of Dentacoin rises. Therefore, your share rises. This is very similar like with all the other tokens that are out there. Like Bitcoin or any
You're
other
telling
token.
me that your foundation has shares which are calculated and put in your books
I'm talking
as
about
data
Dentacoin.
coins.
No, the Dentacoins are the cryptocurrencies. And its value will come in future when the platform is
I got that, but it means that this is not shares in the company. This is the product that the company
Yeah,
actually develops.
it is just by the
It's
result.
completely different. Why
In
do
the
you use
result-
the
Many
same-
people
why
actually
do you use the same
In the result,
terminology?
it's the same, you know.
Maybe,
The result is
maybe
the same.
What's
people
the same?
compare.
The result is
tokens
the
to
same.
shares.
Of course, from a legal point of view, one Dentacoin is not a share, and that's actually very important. A Dentacoin is a currency, and it's not regulated as a share, which is very important. But as the value of this artificial new currency rises with the company's value and the usage of all these products, it is in the result a share. You see? Because if you have
that
Dentacoins,
share, the idea behind share is that one enjoys the
Yeah.
benefits of this share.
exactly.
Who enjoys the benefits of the shares in the form of a cryptocurrency? It
Everyone.
is not the people who use and
It's
who
true.
create,
No, that's not true.
the common companies that we call them.
What are the benefits that you enjoy from a regular share? From a traditional share?
What are the benefits?
Yeah, what are the benefits? You're talking about the benefits of a traditional share. What are
Yeah,
they?
you enjoy the income of the company.
Exactly.
Distributed as dividends. This
Exactly.
is the benefits of the share.
Exactly. And that's
Let's
exactly what
make
we
it
do with
simple.
Dentacoin.
Let's make it simple. If you have one Dentacoin now and all this succeeds in 10 years, like Bitcoin 10 years ago was one left, now it's $5,000. If this whole succeeds and you on every and after 10 years it's great, you will
I
have
understood your
a lot
example.
of
Let's make it simple.
That's a simple
If you have a
example.
company that produces tomatoes, and you have a tomato produced by this company, and in 10 years it becomes more valuable, you would enjoy the same benefits, but you wouldn't be the shareholder of the company who
Yeah.
produced the tomatoes.
You never be the
This is
shareholder
product
of the company.
You do
That's
not
clear.
become-
We
you will
don't
not
need to
become the
discuss it
shareholder of the
anymore.
company.
You never be a shareholder of the company.
Okay, so
We don't need to
owning the
discuss
tomato
it
does not make you a shareholder of the company.
You buy gold, not gold mine.
Yeah. But we are talking about same thing here, all of us. I just try to make it simple in order to understand, because he's telling you are not a shareholder. You're asking, why do you tell me that I'm a shareholder? This is terminology. He does not do it in purpose, because he has answered, you are not a shareholder of the actual company, Dentacoin company. But you still have a coin. Coins is the real thing that you possess. And if one coin now is one left, and after 10 years is 1,100 level, you will see the real thing about behind the Dentacoin. But this is...
Yeah, actually, Dentacoin is not giving you dividends now.
Yeah.
Right. It's not.
You can just make money from the traded value.
Exactly.
Or,
It's the
to
value
use
of
it in
the
the system.
company, but it's not a legal share in the company.
Yeah.
That's a big difference, right? It's not by law, it's not a share in the company, which is only definition in the end, right? You have some law different in between the countries, and you can have this legal notion of a share. A cryptocurrency is never an actual share in no country.
Can you then, as a company, decide to go in bankruptcy? To the manager, you're the owner of the company, you can decide to go in bankruptcy. So
Yes, I could. That would mean that the actual existence of Dentacoins keeps alive because it's decentralized. We don't.
It's on the blockchain.
It's on the blockchain.
All right.
There you can see good that it's actually separated, you know. But of course, it would of course affect the value seriously, because if we are the only central point of creating value, let's say, for Dentacoin currency, and we're shutting down our business, then people might feel really like emotional about it. Thank you, emotional for their coin and selling it. That's just what happens on every exchange worldwide with every company, right?
And also, only you control the smart contracts for now.
No.
Administrator.
No, we don't have. Okay, yeah, that's true. We control parts of that smart contracts. For example, fees, as long as we don't use Oracle for that. In general, the idea for the next steps is to really create an autonomous system. So that's when I talk about sub-communities. When you have something like Dentacoin Foundation, founded in more countries, relying on the same currency, on the same community, then it gets more stable, right? Because if it's forbidden in one country, all over the world people can still use the currency, and there are other companies that even create new tools, do marketing for it, and strengthen the currency.
So you're saying that if I create a foundation in Bulgaria, I can use your currency?
Yes, not now, but you could try to engage a partnership with us. That's what we're doing at the moment. We're trying to find new partners all over the world. So you could come up with that idea. We had one case where someone tried to do that. We're too young at the moment for such a big change, but yeah, that's mainly the idea for later.
But then, if I'm a part of that currency group which exists,
yes,
and the foundation, you can go in bankruptcy and that's going to hold based on my foundation, for example. Is that the notion behind it?
Yeah, exactly. It's the notion behind, and to put it in other words, the foundation is the service towards the currency. The currency exists on its own in the blockchain, and the foundation only, from an economical point of view, creates new value by adding new tools and doing marketing to that currency.
The foundation owns the tools in the marketing and all, etc.
Yeah,
creates the value.
but owning the tools is also a bit difficult because the tools are highly decentralized again, like the currency itself. So we are at the moment we make decisions in that tools, right? We have the admin rights, as you said, in that tools. So we somehow control them, of course. Right. But the ultimate ideal goal is to get rid of as much power as we can, which has a big benefit for us that we don't take the responsibility again, right? That's also a big thing about the decentralized platforms. If you create a smart contract which is truly decentralized, you don't need to care about it any longer.
You can upload your app in the blockchain, and with no hosting, with no servers, nothing. Can you delete the smart contract?
If you are
delete it,
if you are
shut the servers and
that is not owned by anyone.
That's hard to understand. I needed some time.
If these things,
machines, yes,
harm peer-to-peer, who is responsible?
Right, I get that.
Yeah.
no one, everyone.
No one is responsible.
No one and everyone.
Machines?
You really need to I recommend you to read about DAO. Decentralized autonomous organization. It's like the peak.
This is again just another idea of this world.
We're talking about ideas, right?
Yes, but we're talking about ideas that are related to their day-to-day lives.
Yeah, we are one of the few currencies actually that are really related to real businesses, right? We have the dentists, right?
Teraz кажеш, че тревожен?
About the companies which you were talking about introducing self-coin.
I'm sorry, I can't hear. Sorry.
You were discussing about companies creating a coin in the company, like companies which create their own coins, bringing value to the people, like pool and such other stuff.
Yes.
And they're all based on Ethereum, so you have to pay a small amount of Ethereum. Is there a way to fully decentralize from Ethereum? Fully
get independently?
Yeah.
Not with that kind of coins that we use. Like, as long as we trust on Ethereum, we depend on Ethereum. But as Ethereum as a network like Bitcoin, is fully decentralized by nature, this is a good thing. The disadvantage of an own blockchain would be that we would need to manage to engage a lot of new miners and other people that secure the network. It's much easier to take the second largest existing blockchain, Ethereum, and rely on that. Because it's still there, it's decentralized, and many others are using it. So we are actually happy that we don't need to engage and invent our own blockchain, because there are other blockchains, of course, yeah, as you know, but they always struggle with number of users.
You depend on the infrastructure.
Yeah.
And then you're responsible for the infrastructure as well, right? For example, for doing hard forks. We just decided that we will trust in Ethereum, mainly because we can use that smart contracts, which gives us a high variable amount of solutions that we can implement on top of it. And secondly, because it's the second largest cryptocurrency and blockchain solution in the market by market cap, and it has a much bigger developer base than Bitcoin even. That means
it's gonna get expensive over time, isn't it? Because you're gonna pay small percentage for each transaction to Ethereum.
we don't. Each user, if you do a transaction to me or I do a transaction to you, I pay a tiny amount of money to the miners, not to the Ethereum Foundation or something, but to the miners. That means to the network itself.
Right, so by paying so much, that basically goes from the Dentacoin to the Ethereum. Is that?
The transaction is direct.
The transaction is from A to B, and A also pays a small transaction fee to C, to the miner. That would be exactly the same if we had our own blockchain. In this case, if I, for example, would send you money on my own blockchain, on our own blockchain,
Right.
still person C would get part of that money, a small amount, to secure the network. This is due to the basic principle.
Secure the network.
Yes.
Because everyone participates in the Ethereum network runs actually the code of the smart contract. So you're paying for this. And everyone runs this smart contract to ensure that
But it's not the foundation that pays.
Company foundation, do you pay some taxes to the government in
As a company, we just pay regular taxes.
not for the donation, you pay some taxes because in the Bulgarian law, when one company have some donation from anyone, you need to pay 10% of this money.
I'm actually not sure about the second co-founder, which is more the economist on that whole thing, knows about it. Maybe you'll have to speak here, or you could get with us in contact to get that detail.
Yes, because I want to start one ICO and
Cool. Join our Slack, for example. That's for everyone now. Just to see what's going on there, the daily business. You could go there. It's dentacoin.slack.com, or just write us an email.
what's happened with the problem with the anonymous donation? Because also in Bulgaria it is not permitted, it's forbidden.
Like, what I can tell you is that this notion of ICOs that we have, or this concept of ICO that we use, is actually very similar to all the other ICOs that happen at the moment. And per se, they are legal in the Netherlands and in many other countries. Yeah?
Yes, you can make your ICO in offshore zone. It's completely self-controlled.
You could go to such a country as well, but we talk to lawyers.
That's actually unique in the everyday business. People just don't understand offshore zones. I study finance.
Okay, maybe you follow. That's what interesting. What do you mean?
So if you open, let's say, bank account in Luxembourg,
Yes.
it doesn't matter how you convert your money from where they come from. You have no taxes on this.
You can sell drugs, it's not a
No,
problem.
it's not like that.
I think that's what you mean. It's not
it's
illegal
not like
by
that.
definition. Okay. Yeah.
It's just their policy is based that if your money comes from outside Luxembourg, you don't have a problem. So in your case, I'm pretty sure that you mark the Ethereum as an asset?
No, we don't. It's not an asset.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not the expert in this, and you understand about that better, but as I understood the financial aspect here, neither Ethereum nor Dentacoin are shares by any matter.